Pade Namastu Vishta Vairi Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. I don't know if I can really bit difficult to hold up. I'm not sure.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I took rest. So, anyway, we'll do. So the number 14 is about our sorrows, confusion, and fear. It's called Shoka, Moha, and Bhaya. So, if we examine the nature of our thoughts, negative thoughts, it can be roughly classified into thoughts about the past, which is called Shoka. Thoughts about the future, which is called Bhaya. Not thoughts, but concerns. So negative thoughts about the past, negative thoughts about the future, and negative thoughts about the present. And the negativity of the thoughts about the present are called moha. So we have this three things: Shoka, Moha, and Bhaya. The Shoka is quite clear because you bring up things from the past and make it disturbing to yourself. Why did it happen? Why did I have to do it that way? Regrets. So all those kinds of things constitutes Shoka. And I will not spend much time, but you know what it is. Then the Bhaya also is pretty obvious. So in all three of them, there is a reasonable series of thoughts that don't cause problems. Like for example, supposing you have to remember something from the past. It doesn't have to be negative. But what I'm saying is that in the thoughts about the past can either be normal or you can extend it into regrets, which we don't need. Similarly, thoughts about the future can be very healthy and very normal when you're making plans. But perfectly okay. But what happens is that due to whatever circumstances and defects in the mind, basically, you extend it. What if it doesn't happen? What will happen this? I wonder if this is going to happen. So this kind of an extension is called Bhaya. Those two are now pretty obvious. Let's look into the thoughts about the present, which is called Moha. So the Moha is again in two categories. One is the normal things about what is going on. The other one is regrets about things that you don't, not regrets actually, your conclusions, your thoughts, just thoughts about things that are going to happen but you wish that they don't. A good example of that is hair turning grey. Swami Kanananda actually gives this example. Wrinkles. So you look at your skin and you say, oh my God, bags under the eyes. These are all healthy signs of aging, wonderful. The other day, my granddaughter, poor Sanya, she was looking, she's very fond of me. She said, Papa, what happened to your hair? I felt so sorry for her because she really wanted me to be a normal person. And she was looking at me and he says, what happened? So loss of hair turning, this is called moha. So I'll just stop at that, but only to point out that we make something out of nothing. Whatever happened, it's okay, let it go, done or don't. But the tendency to blow it up is shoka. Whatever is going to happen, just go ahead and plan for it. But no, you embellish it with bhaya. And whatever is happening is normal. But to expect something that shouldn't be happening is called moha. And Swami Vivekananda says, the mother of all this is moha. Moha is the one that creates both shoka and bhaya. That's all I wanted to say. That's it. Then the number 15, we've already done, which is the nature of being bound, bandha and sambandha. Bandha is normal, sambandha is not. And so we are held back because of sambandha. If you want to grow from parichinna to aparichinna, then the things that are artificially holding us back should be looked into. And a very big part of this is sambandha. You know, this is what was the one or two main things that constituted Arjuna's shoka. Because he didn't mind others dying, but people that had taught him, his own uncles, aunts, his teachers, he didn't want them to disturb them. So Swami Vivekananda also says that, this is a tough thing that you have to do. This feeling of me and mine is really holding you back. And you have to overcome it. Again, I think we can go back to what is reasonable and normal versus what is unreasonable and abnormal. So, for instance, if you have somebody who is hurt, to give solace to that person is normal. To be concerned about them is normal. But see what happens if the person who is hurt is one of very close person to you. We much more than normal. It is important to be concerned about people that are close to you, just as it is important for you to be normal about things that are not close to you. Any human being, that's all normal. But we have this extended sambandha with people. And you know, it's one time somebody had taught this to me. I don't think it was Swami, but shouldn't be anyone Swamis, but I think somebody had, maybe Swami Dayanandji had done it. He said, you know, there is a subtle difference between love and attachment. And what happens is that you should analyze this. Love is for the other person, where you have concern for somebody who is in trouble, to help them, is love. It's natural love, beautiful. But attachment is something where you feel bad. You don't feel bad for the person. It appears that you are feeling bad for the person. This is the trick. You delude yourself by saying, you know, I'm very concerned about the person. But if you analyze, you find that you don't like the feeling of someone close to you not doing well. You don't like that feeling. It has nothing to do, you don't help the other person. Love is where you can help the other person. Attachment is something you don't help the other person. You just are concerned about your own emotions. It's selfish. It is selfish. This is attachment. So in our dealings with our close ones, no one says that don't have love for them, don't have concern for them. Nobody says that. And attachment leads to, I think, moha. Because you want the other person to be okay. It's very possible that the other person may not be okay. Just like the hair turning gray. It's very possible. People are going to have accidents and all that. But somehow your feeling is no. He's my daughter, she's my daughter. Nothing should happen to her. And this kind of a feeling, if you feel that this is much for the love for my daughter, you have to analyze. It is not. It is an attachment which is meant for you. And that same attachment makes you still bound as a limited person. An unlimited person, if you want to be, then you have to diminish the importance of things to a point where it is just part of life. It's not a very fundamental thing. It should not be made so crucial that it prevents you from becoming what you want to be. So this is the meaning of Bandha and Sambandha. next topic, number 16, is the nature of triads, what is called Tripudi. So, this also is a very important analysis for going much advanced into moksha. And I will only briefly mention this now, and perhaps later on, when we do Atma Vichara, I will pick it up in more detail, but very briefly, Tripudi means, in your experience, you do some things. For example, you want to know something. So there are three things involved. One is a knower, one is a known, and the third one is knowing, the very process of knowing. And so this is in Sanskrit called pramata, pramana, and prameya. And this Tripudi is in all phases for doing, feeling, praying, etc., etc. So in the Vyavaharika Sat, the Tripudi is used all the time. Okay. So here, what we will see later on is, this is part of Vyavaharika Sat, not Paramarthika Sat. Why? How can we say that? There is very beautiful logic. The logic is that Tripudi requires apeksha. Apeksha means, so it is called sapeksha. Apeksha sahavartate sapeksha. The opposite of that will be nirapeksha. So sapeksha is fundamental to Tripudi. What it means is relationship. What relationship means is mutual dependency. You cannot have something is knowable until there is a pramata. And you cannot have a pramata without having something which is knowable. And so, which one comes first, you don't know. All three of them are interrelated. They depend on each other. But this is not true of the Paramarthika Sat. Because in Paramarthika Sat, your status as a Sakshi is not Sapeksha. It is Nirapeksha. And one other thing, just like anything else, the Vyavaharika Sat depends on Paramarthika Sat. So there is Sapeksha. Not only are they mutually related, but they are also related to Sakshi. But the Sakshi is not related to them. All it does is to simply light them up. So this lighting things up is number 20. And an understanding of this is so crucial that it belongs in few things that you should not forget. Not a question of forgetting, but you should really understand it. So what were the two that we've done so far? One is that there is sukham in giving up. Do you remember what the second one was?
Knowledge. We are always there. There was no time when we were not there, and we will always be there.
Close.
I cannot negate you, sir.
Yeah, all these are close to it, yeah. So I would say, I do not need any proof. Satsvaram Satsvarupa.
You are the only one who can't be given up.
Sorry?
You are the only one that cannot be given up.
You're the only one who is a Satsvarupa. You're the only one who is Satsvarupa. You cannot disappear. You don't need a praman. You don't need any proof. You are it. This is the second one too. The third one is coming up in number 20. And we will go over that. So, here, the Sakshi being Nirapeksha, independent, is part of that. So at this point I will simply briefly mention it, what we were discussing, and probably one of the most important things that you should carry back with you, which is coming up in number 20. Number 17. This is also somewhat tough to see, but it is an explanation of the word anubhava, which is experience. And so anubhava means, this is interesting to, you remember one of the fallacies that I talked about earlier, which is, I know but I don't have the experience. I know Vedanta. I have studied a lot of Upanishads, but I don't know how to apply it. I don't have the experience. I can't experience it. So this is our normal stupidity. We need to get rid of it. And we need to get rid of it by understanding what is meant by anubhava, experience. So again, I have to sort of, because of my voice, I can't talk that much. So I'll just give you the basics at this point, just to conserve. So there is a technical definition of anubhava. The technical definition of anubhava is, in Hindi, I'll tell you in Hindi, समस्त भाव के पीछे, समस्त भाव के पीछे अनुभव. After all the thoughts, bhava means feelings, thoughts, viewpoints. So this is beyond all bhavas. That state, that understanding in which all the bhavas disappear is called anubhava. It's a rather technical definition, but very important definition. And one aspect of that is what we discussed earlier when we were talking about ignorance and knowledge. Remember the Nepalese language example? So there you can, that's a very specific application of anubhava. You can even extend that example in the following way. You will say, do you know the Nepalese language? And you say, no, I don't. And so you say, how can you say that? So what we said earlier was, I know that I don't know. You can also sort of translate that into say, I know my experience. I don't have the experience of Nepalese language. So this is an anubhava. This is an anubhava. There is a lot of detail on this, but I will skip it and tell you one thing which is important. It is not correct to say, I don't have the experience of the self. It is not correct. Why not? You have the experience of the self. You don't have the correct experience of the self. So, the nature of the self is always in the nature of experience only. Always. So it's a distortion of the word anubhava to say, a distortion of the word experience to say, I don't have the experience. You always have the experience of the self. Even if you are a small person, if you are a limited person, the limited experience is also because of the self. The self is involved in the limited experience. But you haven't extracted the nitya and anitya. So you can say that I don't have the experience of nityatvam. Even that is false. Really, there's nothing you can say that I don't have the experience of. You always have the experience. But we can say your experience is faulty. You need to remove the fault from it, but the experience remains the same. Anyway, I won't go much more detail on that, but the word experience should be understood as something which is your nature. You always have an experience of one form or the other. You have the experience of childhood, the experience of being rejected. You have the experience of being loved, of being accepted. They're all different kinds of experiences, but you have the experience always. Okay, let's go to number 18. This is also an important technical point. This specific point is called Samanadikaranyam. It's a kind of a long Sanskrit word. Samanadikaranyam. So it means in English different aspects resolving into the same substance. And when we give examples, it will become clearer. Right now it looks too obtuse. Different aspects resolving into the same substance is called Samanadikaranyam. In fact, there is a Sanskrit definition of that. It says, Samanadikaranyam nama bhinna pravritti nimittanam shabdanam ekasmin arthe vrittiti samanadikaranyam. I can explain that to you if I had more time and more voice. That is a technical definition. A simpler definition in Sanskrit is Samana Adhikarana Yasya. Samana means the same. Adhikarana. Adhikarana means the point where everything resolves. When the waves resolve into the water, water is the adhikarana of the waves. Right? So that's what that means. The adhikarana means the very basis. So, samana adhikarana yasya means where everything resolves into one substance is called samana adhikarana. So there are 4 kinds of samana adhikarana. 4 types. One is called Badhita Samanadikaranya. Badhita. Badhita means one which has been sublated. Not sure if there's a better English translation of this. One which has been removed. Sublated, gone. Okay. So here the example of this is there are 2 things. One is a rope and the other one is sap, a snake. Thought of a rope and thought of a snake. There are 2 things. Once they are understood, they both resolve into one thing, which is Rajju, which is the very rope. There apparently were 2 things, but they got resolved into one thing because one of them was Badhita. So in this example, the Badhita resolves into Abadhita. Rajju is Abadhita, means even after the resolution, it still is there. You can't ask this rope and say, hey, were you ever a snake? And if it could talk, it says, what are you talking about? I don't understand it. Oh, I thought you were a snake. And so here, this is what is called Badhita Samanadikaranya. 2 things resolving into one because one of them was correctly understood. The misunderstanding was Badhita. This is that. The next one is called Gunaguni Samanadikaranya. Gunaguni. Guni means the dravya that has that quality. Guna Guni. The quality and the thing that has that quality. The blue lotus, Nilotpalam. This is a famous example. Nilotpalam. Nila means blue. Utpalam means the lotus flower. So there are two things. One is the blue color, and the other one is the dravya, which is the utpalam. They are not two things. You are describing certain gunas of the dravya. That's okay. You can describe the guna, but the blueness is not separate from the dravya, from utpalam. So this is called guna guni samanadikaran. Okay. The third one is very interesting. It says it's called Lakshana Lakshya Samanadikaranyam. Lakshana Lakshya Samanadikaranyam. So supposing you have a friend who is blessed. This is the famous example. This is the common, not famous, the common name used in Shastra called Devadatta. Mr. Devadatta. I hope none of you is named Devadatta. But this is Devadatta. Devadatta likes to drink a lot. And at a certain time of the day, when he's walking down the street, he has had a couple of pens of Johnny Walker. And there are two friends sitting there, and one of them says, "Here comes Mr. Johnny Walker." Who they really mean is Devadatta. So, Johnny Walker is a Lakshana. And Devadatta is Lakshya. And so when you give a name which has nothing to do with Devadatta, he actually may not be drinking Johnny Walker. He may be drinking some other things. But it is important to see you have to know what Johnny Walker is, what kind of whiskey it is. And then both of them should know about it. And so it is good to make fun of that person. Lakshana Lakshya Samanadikaran, that's number 3. Then comes what is applies to Atma and Anatma. This is what we will, this kind of Samanadikaranyam is the one that really directly applies to us. Others can also, but most fundamentally, this is called Mukhya Samanadikaranyam. Mukhya. Mukhya means the main one. This is the principal Samanadikaranyam. What is the example of that? Example of that is space and room space.
What was the fourth one?
I'm talking the fourth one.
Oh, I thought you said the name that I missed. Sorry.
Mukhya.
Oh,
Akasha, Mahakasha. Example, space and room space. So when you were packing to come to Salisbury, you remember my email. Please have a small suitcase. Have a small space. We don't have the space. This is referring to room space. Is it different from space? No. It's not different from space. But it has a particular application with respect to, so you can say this, space in this example is Paramarthika Sat, whereas room space is Vyavaharika Sat. You can, people say, we are moving from a 2-bedroom to a 3-bedroom because now we have two children. This house has become, this is exactly what happened to us. We had a 19 square foot home in Las Cortes and we were quite comfortable. But these boys started growing up, they brought friends in and it just became crowded. And we thought we need to get a bigger place, and we did. So you're dealing with small space, big space, this space. I don't have the space. Please, I don't have the space. Move it away from me. So space is all these kinds of things. It's the same space, but it has a vyavahara. It has some application to it. So this is what is called Mukhya Samanadhikaranya. And this is the difference between Aparicannatvam and Parichinnatvam. There is no such thing as this. You cannot say, you take your own space, I take my space. It is the same space, my dear. This is the space. So this is what is called Akasha is closest to the Atma. Akasha Sambhuta in Taittiriya Upanishad. Atmana Akasha Sambhuta. The first thing born from Atma is Akash, space. This is why somehow I feel people are not ready to be Atma. Because you feel, I don't want to be empty like space. It's kind of nice to have a form, have a body, I can shake hands with you and so on and so forth. But if you tell me that your goal should be to become Akasha, I say, what? But it's interesting. Akasha, even though it is infinite, it is Ananta. It is the only thing in the whole creation other than the Atma. Other than the Atma, the only Vastu in the whole creation is Akasha. Even though it has a lot of subtle things contained in it, as we were discussing earlier, remember? We were talking about gravity and this, that, or the other. Even though it has that, but you don't see it. It looks very empty. Closest thing to the Atma is Akasha. But it is not truly a Parichinna. Can you think of why it is not aparichin? Why is it not all?
Upadi. No.
It will dissolve.
Is there akasha in the dream? You have some kind of an akasha which is not the same as this.
In Mahapralaya also will go away.
Forget about Mahapralaya. In Laya, when you are sleeping, there is no akasha. Of course, extended to that in Mahabharata, but you don't have to go that far. Sleep is a great example of, if you wanted to see, I wish I could see Mahapralaya. You really want to see Mahapralaya? Yes, I would love to see. In the beginning, there is nothing in the whole world. Everything is all asleep. I want to really see that. Okay, I'll show it to you. Please go to sleep. That's it. And I was telling you that there is hardly any difference between sleep and death. I don't know how long the jiva takes to take another one. Nobody knows this. And it's not noble. But it happens. So, akasha is not aparichinna because it is on akasha is only limited to waking state. It does not bleed over to swapna state and disappears completely in the sleep state. But that's not true for the Atma. Atma is there in Jagrata Avastha. It is there in... So let me ask you a question. Relative to the Akasha, just think about it. Where is the Atma in the Jagrata Avastha? We know where Akasha is in the waking state.
Everywhere.
Where is the Atma?
Consciousness is everywhere.
In the cell.
It's all pervading, so it's everywhere. As the Shastras say.
There's no, that question is not the right question. Is the space, when you say where, the assumption is space is already existent, but if there's no space.
No, the answers are correct.
Atma is what Desh, Kal, all of that doesn't matter for it.
Very simple. Please keep things very simple.
It's an all.
You cannot have Akasha without the awareness of Akasha.
Space in Atma.
You cannot have Akasha. This is the awareness of Akasha. This is where Atma is.
So it means everywhere.
It's in the cell. It's an eye.
No, that's it. You're right, but that's not what I asked. I said with respect to the Akasha.
Akasha is in Atma. It is in
Yeah.
Akasha is in
Akasha is in the Atma. And so is the Akasha of the dream. Because in dream you have a own peculiar Akasha. It's very possible. entirely possible that in the dream you have a yellow color akasha. Very possible. Who knows? You know, there is a some tenants used to give this example. You have seen human beings and you have seen horns on a cow or a bull. The human beings cannot have horns. But in the dream, you can put them together. And this is what happens. You know, this is interesting. Even it is written somewhere in the Shastra, I'm not aware, that in the Jagrata Avastha, you have no memories of the past. The thoughts don't come to you. And it's for very good measure. Very good measure. Because we have a hard time dealing with things in the Jagrata Avastha. If you have to think about, I wonder where that husband is now. We had 3 children. I hope he's taking care of them. I'm dead. It will be chaos. You probably have. You had 1 million husbands in the past. And 1 million wives in the past. One of my close people who's a woman said, next life I want to be a man. I don't want to be a woman anymore. And so if you really go to Dakshinamurti and in your prayers you say, Dakshinamurti, make me into a man next time. Remember that, don't forget it. He will probably honor you. Just do that like 100 times or so, you'll say, I guess she's very serious. So yeah, all this is possible. So in the dream, you have a different akasha. It's not the same akasha. So the akasha is also parichinna, natu aparichinna. The only vastu is Atma, which is aparichinna, which is Brahma. And everything depends on the awareness. What is Swami Akhandananda said? He said, believe it or not, even Ishvara has to take your anumati. He has to take your okay. Because this is not just pop, just think about it. There is no Ishvara until there is awareness. Awareness is there first. Then comes Ishvara. And you are the awareness. You can never be not awareness. And you are the only Sat Swarupa. This is not true of Brahman. Because you are Brahman. So the Ishvara is also an upadhi. Jiva is an upadhi. And the uparita for both of them is the same. Chaitanya Sarupa. All one. So, you are not a Jiva, you are Atma. And Atma, you've always been Atma. There's no question of the Atma not being there. If you think that I was not there, that's philosophy. It's not truth. The truth is you're always there. You cannot negate it. go to 19 because I'd like to finish. Is it? Oh my God.
We have to, yeah, the Aarti is at 6, but you must be tired.
I'm not even going to go to the Aarti.
Yeah.
I'm probably just not going to talk. Hopefully I'll do satsang. But let me press. So I think that I certainly will not start with the important number 20. That we will do tomorrow morning. So let me just do number 19 now. So there are 3 types of projections in the Vyavaharika Sat. Right? So Paramarthika Sat projects into Vyavaharika Sat. And there are 3 ways that happens. Three ways that happens. One is called Abhasa. One is called Pratibimba. And one is called Avacheda. These are the Sanskrit names for it. Okay. So, let's take Pratibimba first. Pratibimba means, so all these are all copies, projections, copies. 3 type of, you can say that there are 3 ways Paramarthika Sat expresses itself. It is known as. And when you expresses itself, how does it express? As Drishya. Right? Drik can only express as a Drishya, as a something that you can see. There are 3 ways to see yourself. One is called Pratibimba. So you are the Bimba, and this is called Pratibimba. And the Pratibimba is what you look at when you see yourself in the mirror. Okay, this is one thing. The second one is what we saw earlier, which is called Avacheda. And that is when we saw the Mukhya Samanadikaranya Ghatakasha. So room space is a way where the space gets avacheda, becomes limited. Okay, so that's the second one. The third one is just an imagined self. Imagined self. So this is what you would call I thought. I thought. When you say me, so this is an expressed me, because Paramarthika Sat doesn't talk, doesn't express itself. Atma doesn't express itself. It is a very important concept, really. And we will see a specific Gita verse. I'll talk about that tomorrow. It doesn't express itself. It is never visible. But you do have an I thought. Everything is on I thought. I was there yesterday. My voice is not good. I thought, me. This is not really a pratibimba. Because the pratibimba is more like a physical in the mirror. But this is also a kind of a pratibimba, because you cannot have an I thought without Atma. Exactly, we go to the same thing. Which I thought are you talking about? You know the I thought. Which I thought are you talking? I'm telling you, I'm aware, I have the experience of the I thought. Same thing. So this is the I thought, is the abhasa. So in the Vedantic literature, all three of these examples are used. Some people prefer one versus the other. They build their case on one. Some people do the other, but it doesn't matter. So Yogananda says that it doesn't matter. They're all ways of expressing the same thing. But we should know. So Panchadashi prefers one way, other people prefer that way. But it's all the same. Abhasa, Pratibimba and Avacheda. So these are the three types of projections of the self into Vyavaharika Sat.
Is avacheta then like a part of the space? Since you said Ghatakasha?
Avacheda is enclosure. It means enclosure, a sense of enclosure. So Ghatakasha, the room space. So you need a kind of a upadhi. So here the room is the upadhi that makes the space look like an enclosed space. So that would be the meaning for avacheda.
This is projection of Vyavaharika Sati.
The projection of Paramarthika Sat.
Vyavaharika Sati, not Vyavaharika Sati.
So it becomes Vyavaharika Sat.
But it is a projection of
Paramarthika Sat. In a way you can say, this is how Vyavaharika Sat appears. Yeah.
Like Chidabhasa, like an individuality, ego.
Correct. Chidabhasa, yes, individuality. I think we'll go into more on that. Well, I survived. Hope you were able to understand everything I said. I'm less sure about all these other people who are looking at us remotely and say, what is going on? Anyway, good. Hopefully I'll go through this. I'll take some more rest tonight.
Can you do some backup in your home in a thermos or something?
No, I have a microwave. I have a microwave, so I can repeat it. Om Masat Amas Kamaya Tamasama Jyoti Nityanam Gamaya Om Gurukulam Puram Dachite Purasya Puram Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om